Midnight in Manhattan, 2024. In a glass-walled office on Park Avenue, there is no one left to toast to the future. The only sound is the rhythmic, mechanical clicking of thermal sensors. These devices, hidden in the ceiling, are scanning the room, tracking the heat signatures of ghosts. They measure the utilization of desks that once promised to change the world. The signature beer taps have been ripped out and replaced by standard corporate coffee machines. The mandatory fun of the summer camps and the neon signs urging us to do what you love have been dismantled or simply turned off. History is often written as a series of balance sheets and market cycles, but inside these quiet rooms, a different story exists. It is a story of how a tall, charismatic immigrant with nothing but a dream of a capitalist kibbutz persuaded the most powerful men in finance to ignore the laws of arithmetic. It is a story of a 12-minute car ride that turned a real estate company into a $47 billion delusion. And it is the story of a single document, a 359-page filing that acted as a high-velocity autopsy while the patient was still breathing. Every collapse begins with a choice. For WeWork, the point of no return wasn't the bankruptcy filing in 2023. The moment the fuse was lit happened years earlier in the back of a luxury car, moving through heavy Manhattan snow. Inside, a stylus touched an iPad screen. In just moments, a $4 billion commitment was signed. There was no due diligence, only a feeling that the man sitting in that car was the next Jack Ma, the next Steve Jobs, the man who would elevate the world's consciousness. Before the sensors clicked in the dark, there was the roar of 154 Grand Street. In 2010, the world was still reeling from the Great Recession. New York was filled with empty office plates and a rising class of solopreneurs, millennials who had graduated into a broken economy and were desperate for a sense of belonging. Adam Neumann, an Israeli with a messianic speaking style, and Miguel McKelvey, a quiet architect, saw the gap. They didn't just see empty desks, they saw a physical social network. They began with rental arbitrage. It was an old world business model. Lease office space for 15 years, renovate it to feel like a hip living room, and sublet it to freelancers for a month at a time. The margins were thin and the risks were immense. If the economy turned, the members could leave in 30 days, but WeWork would be on the hook for the rent for 15 years. It was a duration mismatch that presented a systemic risk to the entire U.S. real estate market. But Adam Neumann was not a man of thin margins. He was a man of infinite scale. He marketed WeWork not as property management, but as a revolutionary technology platform. In his mind, WeWork was space as a service. By 2014, the company was a unicorn, valued at $5 billion. Neumann didn't just walk into rooms, he commanded them. He traipsed barefoot through the office, cajoling employees into tequila shots at 10 a.m. He spoke of ending world hunger and solving the problem of orphans. His wife, Rebecca, became the company's strategic thought partner, infusing the culture with a mix of new age spirituality. Employees worked punishingly long hours for below market pay, buoyed by the hope that their stock options would one day make them millionaires. The engine required more fuel than any traditional venture capitalist could provide. It required Masayoshi Son. In 2016, Son, the leader of SoftBank, met Neumann at a conference in India. Son's mantra was simple: think bigger. He told Neumann that his problem wasn't ambition, it was that he wasn't crazy enough. In the iPad car ride of December 2016, Son drew up the terms for a $4 billion investment. This was the irreversible decision. It decoupled WeWork from financial discipline. With Son's billions, the company entered blitzscaling. They opened buildings at a clip so furious they could never be filled. They ordered $9,000 designer chairs and shipped furniture by air to meet deadlines. They acquired wave pool companies and non-dairy creamer startups. They bought a $60 million private jet, which Neumann reportedly used to transport marijuana across international borders. The reality distortion field was global. WeWork became the largest commercial tenant in Manhattan. Its valuation soared to a peak of $47 billion. Adam Neumann was now a celebrity. He relocated his Hawaii-based surf instructor to New York, paying for his apartment. He renovated his personal office with a sauna and an ice bath. While the company lost $3,000 every minute, Neumann was extracting $700 million through stock sales and loans against his shares. To hide the monetary bonfire, the company invented its own financial metrics. Community-adjusted EBITDA was the most infamous, a calculation that stripped out nearly every major cost of doing business, including rent, to suggest profitability. One analyst called it earnings before everything else. The board of directors, stacked with allies, functioned as a rubber stamp. No one wanted to be the one to point out that the emperor had no clothes. Then came the summer of 2019. WeWork was running out of cash. To unlock a $6 billion bank debt facility, the company was forced to do the one thing its business model could not survive. It had to go public. It had to file an S-1. On August 14th, the document, codenamed Wingspan, was released. It began with a dedication to the power of we, greater than any one of us, but inside each of us. It mentioned Neumann's name 169 times. It revealed he was his own landlord, collecting millions in rent from his own company. It revealed his wife would help choose his replacement if he died. It revealed the company had lost nearly $1 billion in the first half of the year alone. The public market's reaction was an autopsy. Within weeks, the $47 billion valuation evaporated. Institutional investors saw a real estate company with a drug-fueled culture and a CEO who treated his firm like a personal piggy bank. By September, Neumann was forced to step down, but because of his supervoting shares, he held the keys to the castle and had to be bought out. In October 2019, SoftBank announced a $9.5 billion rescue package as 2,400 employees were laid off without severance. Adam Neumann walked out with a $1.7 billion exit package. It was one of the most lavish golden parachutes in history, a reward for wreckage. The arrival of the COVID-19 pandemic dealt a final blow to the dream of the shared workspace. The firm eventually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in November 2023. It revealed $18 billion in liabilities against $15 billion in assets. But look again at the clicking sensors. In 2024, WeWork emerged from bankruptcy, reshaped by a software-driven real estate company called Yardi Systems. The footprint is smaller. The tech disruptor language is gone, replaced by a focus on real estate fundamentals. The company is, for the first time, reporting sustainable, positive cash flow. And Adam Neumann, he has not vanished. He is back on the billionaires list, building a new real estate venture called Flow, backed by $350 million from Andreessen Horowitz. He is once again a mega landlord, owning thousands of apartments across the U.S. Sunbelt. The system that enabled him to fail up remains largely intact. The history of WeWork is a mirror held up to human nature. It reveals that sophisticated people will believe in magic if the person telling the story is charismatic enough and the capital is cheap enough. It proves that a reality distortion field is only as strong as the next funding round. History does not change because of market trends. It changes because intelligent people make the decision to ignore what is right in front of their eyes. They chose narrative over numbers. The click of the sensors in the dark is the sound of reality returning. The mission to elevate the world's consciousness has been replaced by the mission to balance the month-end close. We are finally back to work. But the ghosts of the we decade still linger, reminding us that the greatest risk in business isn't a shifting market. It is a decision made in 12 minutes in the back of a car by men who wanted to be legends more than they wanted to be landlords.